What it is, what it do. We got a Super Bowl coming up soon, but we got a lot to talk about that has nothing to do with those two teams. We're going to talk about some Washington Commanders news and notes. Believe it or not, there are 2 seasons in the NFL. The actual playing season and the off season. The 2 most entertaining bits of sports all year round. You know it. Let's get to it.
Let's go. Good evening, everyone. It is February 2nd, Thursday evening. Welcome to our live stream of the week. That was your boy Phil in the intro. I'm Steve. Dev is not with us today. He is recuperating.
He's recuperating, and I will tell you people now, I did not even bother to look to see if I had a shadow this morning.
Punxsutawney Phil. Was that today?
It's Groundhog Day, dude.
Oh, I didn't even know that. It was Groundhog Day. So did he see his shadow or not?
See his shadow or whatever says that there's no, he didn't see his shadow. Whatever it was that says there's supposed to be an early spring, I believe, is what happened today. So
no, I want more winter.
I hope that's right.
I want more winter.
You are a sick human being.
I love snow. I'm a snow guy. We got a light dusting yesterday that lasted for just a few hours. That's about it. But
that's all I need. I saw snow. Cool. Now bring on 70 degrees now, at least minimum. I was so happy. I walked out of work tonight. It was 6 p.m. and it wasn't pitch black. You know how excited I was?
Yeah, those are nice. I'm with you. It's not as depressing when you leave work 5, 6 p.m. and there's actually light these days. It's actually been happening for a couple weeks now that I've noticed.
Yeah, if you leave early enough, like when I leave at 4:30, it's like that. But man, it's still like it was still like 6, 7 o'clock when I leave on those nights because I do a 6 o'clock night and a 7 o'clock night. I step outside, I'm like, God,
yeah,
it's dark.
It is nice. Yeah. Well, those in the chat here early, we got Yam. Morning, fellas. We appreciate you. We also got our boy Terrence, Mean Green, Eagles fans, and Rip Bobby Beathard. Yes, Rip Bobby Beathard. That's going to be our main thing today. Yam says, I'll be in class unless that happens, but wanted to drop a line. Thank you. We really appreciate that. For you tuning in, bro. Much appreciated. As always, Marcus Edlin. Check out his group called Sports View 2.
The hardest working man on Facebook.
Yes, he is. He is a content share, a story producer. He is out there just putting out information to the people. So we'd be lost without you, Marcus. Really appreciate that. Let's get into one of the first topics before we go any further. This wasn't an originally planned topic till yesterday, but the passing of Bobby Beathard, one of the all-time Redskin greats. So if you know Bobby Beathard, not everyone knows who he is. He has a beloved history with us. Took us through a lot of good times. He was 86 years old. He is a Hall of Fame GM. He played college with John Madden. So that just goes to show you the age of what Bobby Beathard did. And Phil, I'll let you talk a little bit more about what he's done, but just some quick highlights of some of the things that he's done. He drafted the 1981 draft. I don't know if you know about the 1981 draft, but I'm going to read it to you. First round, Mark May. Third round, Russ Grimm. Fifth round, Dexter Manley. Eighth round, Charlie Brown. Ninth round, Darryl Grant. 12th round, Clint Didier, tight end. And Joe Jacoby as an undrafted free agent. I mean, here it is on the screen right there, but I mean, come on.
I mean,
that's just nasty.
That's all starters. All starters. That is 7 starters out of the draft. people want to talk about GMs nowadays. Certain guys are just masterful GMs. Though you got to realize that Bobby Beathard lived. He lived to be a general manager. That sounds like, oh well, any successful guy in his field would live for it. No. If you ever go back and listen to him talk about the 1987 strike season when they had to bring in the replacement players, there's a certain giddiness in his voice about the whole idea that they had to put together a team from scratch in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And he got really excited because that's like, a nightmare for most general managers. For him, it was like, oh, this is exciting. That's the kind that's a different mentality. And his biggest ability was late round drafting. I remember years ago they did like an all-time team made up of draft picks from the 9th round on. And there was an astonishing number of guys who were or had been or were with the Washington Redskins at the time that he had drafted, or that were drafted by him while he was with the Redskins and then they moved on to other teams. This includes, your Clint Didiers. This includes your Dale Grants. This includes Mark Schlereth. This includes Raleigh McKenzie. He knew how to get those late round guys that turned out to be stars. And then at the same time, like he has just such an insane career. So as a player, this is going to come into key later. I've got my notes here. He was a defensive back on the practice squad for the Washington Redskins in 1959. And then he was also on the practice squad for the San Diego Chargers in 1961. However, he was never going to be a pro player. He didn't have that in him. So he became a scout with the Kansas City Chiefs. And that was in 63, and he came back in 1966. He went to the Super Bowl. He was there until 67. Now, let's also keep in mind, in 1969, they won the Super Bowl. He was with the Falcons for a few years. Then he went to the Miami Dolphins as director of player personnel from 72 to 77. His first 2 seasons there, they go 26-2 and win 2 Super Bowls, including the undefeated season we all know about. Then he becomes general manager of the Washington Redskins from 1978 to 1988.
2 Super Bowls.
Super Bowl appearances and 2 Super Bowl championships, as well as 4 NFC East titles. It was a dynasty. Beathard, I never knew how to pronounce his name properly, by the way. I've heard it both ways.
Beathard.
Is it Beathard? Because I've heard it.
You could look at it and say Beathard. Pause. No, I've heard it as Beathard. Mostly from CJ Beathard.
Okay, well,
his grandson.
He would know. So Bobby Beathard, his legacy is that decade with Washington. Him and Joe Gibbs were meant to coexist, and Gibbs liked to have a lot of influence, but the two of them, despite the fact that they both are guys who like to pick their own guys, they saw eye to eye so frequently on who to get, who we going to get here, who we going to get this pick. That and we were we were a team of 2 things: a lot of low round draft picks, with a few stars in the first round, and a lot of cast offs from other teams. That 82 World Championship team has a lot of guys who had been journeymen throughout the league, and they came over here and they became great.
Yeah.
And you can't say enough. But then he retires. After that, he does a little broadcasting. Then he goes to the San Diego Chargers in 1990. In 1992, the Chargers win their first division title in God knows how long. In 1994, they go to the Super Bowl. Everywhere this man goes, he turned teams into winners. He turned winners into champions. You can't say enough about guys like that.
He did trade for Ryan Leaf, so
Well,
we'll give him a little ding on that one.
that was also what his next to last year with the team. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
he was getting up there in age.
Yeah. I don't care anymore.
I mean, if you look, I mean, even guys, it's funny because the two teams he had all his success with as general manager were the two teams he was on their practice squad with. But I mean, look at the guys who came in under him. I mean, if you want to look at lower round draft picks, quarterbacks like Mark Rippon, Stan Humphries, both who have played in Super Bowls. Hell, Rippon won a Super Bowl, right?
You got Monk and Green too.
You got Monk, you got Green. If you want to look at first round picks, but he didn't pick a lot in the first round either. You'll notice that there's not a lot of first round picks in his tenure. He liked trading back and accumulating picks. And those, I'm telling you, those late round deals, like you look at some of the stuff they did from like the third, fourth, fifth round on. This is back when they had 12 rounds in the draft, people. You had to do a lot of talent evaluation, but it was a lot easier to miss than hit because of that. But the man had an eye for talent in ways it's rare air, dude. I can't say enough about this man and what he meant to the last dynasty this franchise has had.
Yeah. Marcus said Bobby Beathard was Ozzie Newsome before Ozzie Newsome in recognizing talent. That's a good modern day comparison because Ozzie Newsome's great general manager.
Yeah. Ozzie though, he's a lot more focused on the higher round stuff. Like he knows how to engineer guys in the first half of the draft. Whereas Beathard's biggest wins came in the second half of the draft.
Greg Delaney from Facebook says Ryan Leaf had great upside, immaturity issues, plus the team gave him the keys before putting in the work. That's true. Funny story, funny fact. We were this close to having Ryan Leaf on this show. This close.
Yeah.
This close.
That would have been fun.
Was it 2020? I think it was 2020 or maybe 2021.
It was 2020. It was right before the 2020 season.
There we go. Yeah, he had agreed in part to come on the show, but he never did. But
he at least gave us the nicety of saying, sorry, I wouldn't be able to make it.
Right.
Unlike Junior Gillette.
Yeah.
Who just it stopped answering my texts one day.
Yeah. It's CTE, man. Junior's still working on that CTE, man.
I think Junior got a picture of me and went, wait a minute, not enough melanin. Sorry.
Who's this dude? Who is this dude? Well, let's get into the Kam Curl contract talks. It's been the talk of the week. We were on George's show, Command the Mic. Go check out his YouTube if you haven't already done so. On what day was that? Tuesday. No, Monday.
Tuesday.
I don't know. Tuesday. They've all blended together.
No, it was Monday. It was Tuesday.
I don't know.
It was Tuesday.
Go check out Command the Mic. Anyways, we were talking a lot of Kam Curl because it's been the talk of the town, right? The different numbers out there. His father, Coach Greg Curl, he's like a very awesome guy. He basically said his son should be due, up in the 80 range. That's kind of what he was pitching. So let's talk about the numbers here. So just going over the most, this is the overall total value of contracts for safeties in the NFL, starting with Derwin James at the top. Now you got to take into account the fact that the cap's going to go up next year. I want to say 16 point something million, up to 224. So if we cut Carson Wentz, maybe a few others, Logan Thomas, we'll be sitting pretty. We'll probably have anywhere around $30 to $40 million to spare. But the question is, do you pay Cameron Curl? He has one more year in his deal, making about $3 million. So does Montez Sweat, right? So the question to everyone who's watching this, and I'll go back to you, Phil, is do we fork out top 10 safety money for Kam Curl? That's a question you legitimately have to ask yourself, because will it be at the cost of a Montez Sweat or be at the cost of a Daron Payne? Not coming up on Chase yet, but we're risking not signing or hurting signing those other people by signing Kam Curl. It's such a high level deal. $80 million, that's more than Derwin James. That would be the highest total value of a safety in the NFL. So I don't know, Phil, what do you think about Kam Curl getting 80 plus, which is more than Minka Harrison Smith, Derwin James on this team. And what does he mean to this team?
So the big question is, how many years does he want? If he wants like 7 years, cool. I'm perfectly down with that.
7 years. That's quarterback contract money right there.
You know, I'll keep him for 7 years at $80 million. I mean, basically, we'll get all of his prime. And
7 at 80 is great. That's a great number.
7 at 80 is great. 6 at 80, I could deal with. 5 at 80, now you're getting it up in there into Harrison Smith range. 6 at 8, 6 or 7 years, sure. Because only about half that's going to be guaranteed, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of, in my opinion, a lot of what we should do is dependent upon, do they really want 80, or is, RG2 up there, Greg Curl, is...
Nah, he ain't in the locker room.
Not yet. But are they being serious, or are they just doing that thing of, we're going to shoot as high as possible and try to meet in the middle somewhere?
That's probably it. And like we said this on Georgia, so if you can't cap for your son, who can you cap for? So he's doing, he's doing the father thing, which is okay. I understand it.
I hope that's all it is. I mean, I haven't heard of him meddling the way other fathers have meddled in their sons' careers. I haven't seen like a Bobby Two Sticks type mentality out of him. I haven't seen a Papa Marinovich going on. I haven't seen any of that. So that's all right.
Yeah.
So far.
But
would I put him in that top 10, 15? Sure. You got to look at average per year and everything else. I mean, I understand. Yeah. I mean, in a couple of years, his contract, $80 million will probably be peanuts. But I don't know. $80 million.
Greg Delaney says no.
Well, I think Greg's a reasonable enough person to believe that, if he goes 6-7 years at $80 million, sure.
Right.
But I'm
Deuce
not doing...
has joined us. Our boy Deuce, Red Zone in the Lab. Make sure you go check out his YouTube, Red Zone in the Lab. For some also good Commanders content, make sure you're in those Twitter spaces. They are all in them joints. Go check out our boy Deuce. But Jason Horn from Facebook says, CBS Sports list Commanders defensive tackle Daron Payne as a free agent. The Steelers should sign. I mean,
if he's a free agent.
He's not a free agent yet, right?
But if he becomes one, I think a lot of teams are going to try to sign him.
Sure.
And I really think that...
Sure. But he ain't a free agent. And if we franchise him...
You got to look at, right now, Curl, Payne, Sweat. One of these three's got to go.
One of them do.
Now, people immediately would look at Curl because he's the lower round draft pick. He's not the first round draft pick. But and I said this on Georgia's show, you got to look at, do you have next man up on your roster that can ably fill the void left? Not necessarily to the same level, but can you capably fill that void with somebody on the team? Now, behind Payne is Ridgeway and Phil Mathis.
Obata.
Behind Curl is Jeremy Reeves. Don't say Derek Forrest. Derek Forrest plays deep safety.
Yeah.
So a lot of it depends upon, which way you do that. Now, personally, I'm almost leaning. I'm very in the middle on this right now. I could go. I could be swayed either way, but right now, the slight lean is you can let Payne go and just rotate Mathis and Ridgeway in there. You'll have a fresh body, and you can just rotate those two, and then occasionally rotate out Allen so you can get a breather. You still have John Allen. You've got him locked in. But I don't see Kam Curl making $80 million a year on a 4 or 5 year contract. That's $16 to $20 million a year. That's just not where he is. But like 12, 14, 12 to 14 a year, I could be talked into that for Kam Curl, just because of the fact that he brings a lot of versatility in the box and in the short coverage game. Now, if you have your eyes on a linebacker in the draft, a true Mike, his value does lessen a little bit because you don't have that pressing need for him to fill the void of what we were missing last year, which was a third linebacker.
Right. Greg says anything above 6 years at 80, but I'm not excited about paying him top 5 money, top 10, 15. That's where I'm at. I think I said top 12 on George's show. Marcus says I would re-sign Curl with the low cap number next year so we can spread the money out. Dev with us in spirit and in the YouTube chat says I agree, 12. So we're talking about Kam Curl, and we've kind of dovetailed into Daron Payne. But the next thing I want to show or bring up is the fact that they've released the latest franchise tag numbers for this year. Why is that important? Because if we're going to franchise Daron Payne, these are the numbers at which they're going to be at. So look at that right there. Franchise tag for Daron Payne, $18.9 million smackaroos. $18.9 million.
I want to know if the people online who said we should franchise Taylor Heineke see that number.
32.4 big ones. You ain't breaking a piggy bank on that one. But Daron Payne's going to go from making, what is it? I don't know. Montez is making 11 next year. I forget Daron Payne's number this past year. But if we franchise him, he's going to jump up to 18.9 million. And if I was him, I would franchise tag it too, because it's the top. Was it top five salaries at the position in the league at the current moment? So yeah, all good. Dev says, sorry gang, to a blood infusion and 2 teeth cut. See y'all next week. Today's show is great. Yes, we gave you a shout out earlier, Dev. Appreciate you. Marcus said, plus the team can get a veteran defensive tackle on a 1-year contract. Yep, Terrence back in the house. We appreciate you, Terrence. We're just talking
contract
franchise numbers, and specifically for Daron Payne. And I don't know if you could work out a long-term deal with, you know what, we're a year away from franchising Kam Curl, so it doesn't matter. We ain't franchising. That's next year's topic. So it's either he plays on a $3 million salary this year, or he's gonna hold out. I don't know if he's the holdout type for a $3 million deal. I know players don't like to play on a 1-year deal because it's a gamble with their health, which is completely understandable. But I haven't heard them talking about contract negotiations, and maybe that's because the new league year doesn't start till March 15th.
That's a lot of it.
But you got to, yeah. So we'll see what happens. You got to get something figured out before the draft. That's all I'm saying.
You gotta. This is where you better have some people with some smart ability with numbers. Kicks in.
Dad said I'd pull a rod if we tag Taylor. Bro.
So would I.
Bro. 32.4.
This might become Titan this or Viking this or Chief this.
Yeah. Terrence makes a good point. Says no one should have to play on a prove it deal if you're already proven. That's true. And I think Kam Curl means a lot to this team. And we talked about this on other shows. Would he be as effective on other teams, or is it the scheme that Jack Del Rio runs to make Kam Curl so effective for us?
A lot of the scheme plays to his strengths.
Because think about when he was out, we looked like dog shit for a lot of the time.
He would play well on some. I think the Chiefs have a defense that he would be good on. I can think of a couple teams where they have, because Chiefs had that dude Sorensen, right, who was a kind of that hybrid position. He would do well there. I'm sure the Ravens will find a way to use him. There's a couple teams out there that play some that love to do, stuff like that with safeties, love the hybrid stuff, and he would play well. But there's not a lot of teams out there. He's not a traditional strong safety. He is definitely more of an in the box safety linebacker hybrid. He's a hero back. And Buffalo nickel, whatever you want to call it, big nickel. He's that. And that's kind of a very specific position. So it does limit his ability to command numbers of more versatile safeties. Plus, some of those safeties on that list are free safeties and Pro Bowlers.
Right. Yeah. They're not necessarily big hitting box safety. I mean, Derwin James can kind of do it all. He's just versatile. But that's why he's the highest paid safety in the league.
Just ranging back there.
Yeah. Greg says, if Washington decides to move on from Payne, does that push them to lock Sweat up in an extension? We talked about this the other day, too. I mean, Montez is going on his 5th-year extension as well, right? So someone has to go. John's already locked in. I said the other day, if despite what happens with Payne, whatever, if you go into this year and Sweat is just the second coming of Lawrence Taylor and chases nothing, that might make your decision up for you right there, because you can't pay all 4 of those cats first round top tier money. It is impossible. Terrence says, we're definitely going to have this problem after the Super Bowl. Yep, we talked about this last week on our show. The Eagles are going to have 20 unrestricted free agents next year, and I think Terrence said either 11 or 12 of them are actual contributors. So they're going to have a big turnover. They'll probably re-sign some of them, but who knows? When people, when teams go big in the Super Bowl, they kind of get stripped out. Marcus said, I posted in the group an article from Rigo's Rag where the team can franchise Daron Payne since Kyle Smith is GM in Atlanta and work a trade with the Falcons, sign and trade. But I think the player has to agree to that.
He has to approve that. You cannot tag a player with the intent to trade.
Right.
You can trade them, but you can't do it with the intent to trade.
Dev says there's no such position as a hero back. He's a monster back, Phil, a monster back. Deuce says 10 to 12 for Curl, 22.5 for Payne. We must get the Payne done prior to Williams and Dexter, maybe even Jones.
So 22.5 for Payne. You really want to make him the highest paid defensive tackle in the league over Aaron Donald?
Would it be, though? I'd have to look it up.
Aaron Donald's at 20, I believe. There's a couple guys hovering in that 18, 19 range too. That's where I'd put him. I mean, if you can save yourself $4 million by going, 18.5 instead of, 22.5. I mean, that's $4 million you can use to sign someone else.
Yeah. So tackle for defensive tackles. There you go. Aaron Donald, 31. That's
okay,
your average.
I take back what I said. I was thinking of DeForest Buckner and all those guys who are
21,
20, 18, 17.
So remember, you don't have to be the best your position. It just has to be your turn. So
but you also have to. It has to be your turn, and you have to be out performing at a level equal to the guy at the top. If you want the guy at the top's money,
is he outperforming Jonathan Allen? If you're starting at 18, well, with the market going up, that number is probably worth 20. So is he outperforming Chris Jones?
I could do 19. 22.5 is a little high for me. 22.5. If I'm Daron Payne, that's what I'm trying to get. 22.5.
Yeah.
But I would settle around 19 or so.
Yeah. Terrence says, I'm hoping that Jalen pulls a Tom Brady move and allows the team to bring back several role players. I say this because Jalen's looking at $40 million. I hope they give him $50 million and y'all don't get anybody. Love you, man. No, I would never. I don't knock anyone who wants to get paid $1 billion. But you know what? Go get your money. And if you want to take a discount, take a discount. But I'll never knock you for trying to get as much money as possible at the expense of not signing your teammates. Because you know why? The NFL don't care about you. Your team don't care about you. You only have this short life to make that money. So go get it, Jalen. Go get it.
At their expense.
That's right. Usually you say taxpayer dollars, but taxpayers we're not paying for that. So maybe the revenue deals, maybe we are paying for a little bit of that money. So I don't know. Well, let's talk about the next thing here. We talked franchise tag numbers, and the latest thing to come out was the junkies, the sports junkies. 1067, the fan, tweeted something the other day about Ron Rivera is playing golf at Pebble Beach and the Senior Bowl is going on and there's no offensive coordinator there. We had scouts there. I think Marty Herney was there. The coaches are out. The scouts are out. If you've been in the military, scouts out. The scouts are out. They're out and about. So who cares? Who cares? And then what was later revealed, Phil, that we found out? I don't even know. 12 hours later? What did we find out about Ron? What was he doing out there playing golf? What happened afterwards?
He was out there. He did a Zoom interview with Lynn.
No, he
Or did he have?
drove in
Oh no, that's right. He did.
person.
That's right. He drove in person. That's right. I forgot.
In person.
I'd heard something about a Zoom interview too, so I didn't know if that was with him or what. Yeah, so he drove in person to go see Anthony Lynn.
Yeah, crazy, isn't it? So as much as people were complaining that Ron Rivera we should have already had. Okay, yes, it would have been nice to have an offensive coordinator there to scout the Senior Bowl. Blah blah blah. He's doing work. Let the man live. Okay, he played around the golf at Pebble Beach, but then he interviewed former San Diego. Well, yeah, they were San Diego at the time. Chargers head coach, and now 49ers. I think he's the running backs coach.
All I gotta say is, aren't the junkies determined to turn their show into 4 hours of golf talk? They should be encouraging this. This take is hearting.
Yeah, that's what they get.
This take is hearting.
It was clickbait, right? It was a tweet, so of course it was clickbait.
Total nubbins. Total nubbins.
And like Deuce, the damn Cardinals don't even have a head coach. Their former head coach is in the Philippines or Thailand, whatever, squeezing up on some mamas, and that's okay. The Cardinals have no one. Who's representing the Cardinals at these events? Probably who? The scouts who may or may not have a job when the new coach comes in. So
this take is silly.
No tripping.
I used to love watching. I used to be a big fan of the Junks back in the day, back before they just became middle-aged golfers.
Yeah.
I still love cakes. Still love cakes,
to
dude.
Them. That one was just a bad take.
No. They're on a roll for just being awful lately, and I get it. I mean, what else are you gonna listen to? Morning Drive in DC, because you're listening to PGC. Well, you're gonna be listening to the same 6 songs over and over again. You want to listen to WTOP? We all know traffic sucks. We all have ways. So you got the Junks, or you got Kevin Sheehan.
Yeah, Chris McDaniel, if you're still on.
And Kevin Sheehan would be. Hey, Kevin Sheehan. I like Kevin Sheehan, except for the fact that I gotta listen to him talk to Jay Gruden in the morning. Hard
that's
pass.
Great. Oh, I love that.
Hard pass.
I love Jay Gruden on the radio.
Drunken fool on my radio. So
Chris McDaniel, how far is Pebble Beach from the Bay Area? Because apparently Ron drove from Pebble Beach, where he was playing golf, to the Bay Area, according to this tweet. So I think it's, I don't know, 3 hours. I don't know.
What's that comment there, Christopher McDaniel?
Dev said, I just want to upgrade and go all out this season. Ron's last unless he gets a win in the playoffs. 8 to 9 wins and no playoffs. Or in round 1 ain't working. Ron's on the clock. Chris says, Chris Russell does a Locked On podcast, and he said it wasn't meant to be taken so personally, but it's a valid question. It is a valid question, but it's
not.
Had they known that all of those scouts were there and one of the co-GMs
the
was
report
there?
about the scouts was out before they caught Ron playing golf.
Yeah. Well, there you go then.
Chris Russell is an idiot.
There you go.
Give me my 30 seconds. Chris Russell's an idiot. He still owes me an apology, all right? You want to talk about the Junks, and you want to talk about Chris Russell, all right? Chris Russell told me directly that the Junks, meaning John Paul Flame, Jason Bishop, Eric Bickle. I kind of like EB from time to time. He's a bit Rick. But anyway, that these are legitimate sports journalists just like him, because they're on a legacy radio station. Well, you know what? Wayne Newton's a legacy act. And he ain't done nothing new in 40 years. You've done nothing except milk this fan base's anger for ratings, Chris. And then you backtrack. Every time you get busted, you backtrack. Whoa, it's valid. I didn't know. Don't tell me you're a legitimate journalist. If you're a legitimate journalist, it's your job to know before you speak.
Yeah. Marcus said, when I'm working on paperwork, I listen to B. Mitch and Philly until 12, then listen to the Burgundy and Gold podcast. I think is that Logan Paulson? The burgundy and gold pocket.
I think
it
it
is
is.
Logan Paulson. Chris McDaniel says a couple hours, maybe from Pebble to San Francisco. Okay, that's fair. That's
and
fair.
not only that, but Ron's a California guy.
Yeah,
He's from California,
and he has roots in San Diego too. Don't forget, he coached in San Diego as well. So him and Anthony Lynn have that lineage as a Charger coach.
And Ron played at Cal. His mother lives out there. Let the man visit his mother and play a round of golf.
Yeah. Terrence says, Phil's on a roll, get him. Chris said Chris is the one who posed the question. I guess maybe then the Junks responded. Who knows? They kind of
Chris, that makes Chris twice as much of an idiot and just further proof of what he does. The same guy who says, "Oh, looks like Scott Turner's going to be a head coach somewhere."
Yeah. Deuce says you need the solo screen for his 30 rant. I love it.
Give me my 30 seconds.
Marty says the Martys were scouting the O-lines at the Senior Bowl practice, and they had scouts at the East and West Shrine practice. See, exactly. The scouts were out. It ain't a big deal. Ain't no thing.
Known. We saw pictures.
No thing. Ryan Elias from YouTube. The Junks is bad radio now. Lurch and EB hate for each other makes the show dead and awkward. JP is always on his high horse.
See, you notice nothing about Cakes. We all like Johnny Cakes.
Yeah,
Johnny Cakes is a nice guy.
Mr. Allville. Well, let's talk about the recap here from the games that happened this past weekend. So real quick, we had the Niners and the Eagles, kind of a shit show. Brock Purdy went down. Then we saw was he a Redskin at the time? Redskin quarterback Josh Johnson came in. Also got hurt. And Brock Purdy's arm is now just a limp noodle. He has to have Tommy John surgery, and he's going to miss a whole year. And the Eagles walked away handily with that victory, 31-7. The Eagles didn't have to do much. There was no requirement for them to keep passing, so they just kind of ran, and just kind of milked the clock and got out of there. Brock Purdy couldn't throw the ball. He was in a lot of pain, and the Eagles didn't. They just walked away with this victory handedly and healthy too.
Let's say this for Brock Purdy. Used to be Tommy John. You're never going to get your arm back. That surgery has been advanced so far that pitchers in baseball, when I saw UCL, I immediately went, Tommy John.
Yep.
Pitchers in baseball now come back because of the way they rehab arms after Tommy John, throwing the ball harder with the same accuracy than they did before. Now, I'm not saying that this is, you're talking about going from like a 98 to a 102 mile an hour fastball, which there is some difference there. And so hopefully if they can do the same thing for him, it might mean an extension of his NFL career. Brock Purdy never had the greatest arm, but if you could add a couple miles per hour to that throw, a little more distance, should be good for him. He'll be out a year and he'll be back. And the kid obviously has something about him that he can win games and at least in the right offense. And hopefully Shanahan keeps him around.
Dev said, "Game over.
Mission failed. We'll get him next time.
We'll get him next time." Yeah, of course. Terrence with his Eagles logo. That's cool. We'll let you flout it here for a second. Yes. So that was the Eagles game, and then on the other half of the AFC, Bengals and Chiefs. This was a very close game. I still picked the Bengals to win. Of course, it didn't happen. They hit 43 points, so it was definitely the under. 23-20. Yeah, the Chiefs came out over the Bengals, and this game could have easily went into overtime. If you were watching, it came down to the very second to last play of the game, where the linebacker Joseph Osai pushes Patrick Mahomes out of bounds after he's already out of bounds. And what would have been a 55 yarder becomes a 35 yarder or much, boss.
It was much closer.
35, much closer. And they kicked the ball and win with no time left. So the reporters were dogging the kid. The teammates were trying to defend him at the same time. They're like, all right, stop. Ask these questions. The dude was crying on the sideline. He was holding his knee too. So at first I thought, oh, damn. Tore his ACL, got a personal foul, and then he gives up the game-winning field goal so his team doesn't go to playoffs. Now, that could have been terrible. I think his knee's fine, but It was a great game. That was a greatly matched game, but it was one thing was clear is that the Bengals offensive line is hot garbage.
That's been known. You just need to be able to take advantage of it. They were very good at masking that deficiency. They've been very good at that.
Terrible. Marcus says, I'm curious to see how the Niners are going to handle their quarterback situation. And the Eagles in their roster, since they're over the cap with some nice draft picks. Yeah, and Trey Lance is might be ready for next season too. And Jimmy G's not going to stick around probably. So what is Kyle Shanahan going to do? That team's still built and ready to go. Do you go out and try to find a Derek Carr or like hell a Carson Wentz? You can have them. Like who knows? They got to find someone ready. I mean, Brock Purdy's going to miss a whole season, so don't know what they're going to do for real.
I would go if you really truly believe in Trey Lance, which I don't know if you can at this point, but if you do, you go Trey Lance, Josh Johnson next year. Because Josh Johnson, after seeing what he did when he came in and just he tried so hard to keep this franchise together for a possible playoff run a couple years ago. After Alex got hurt and then Colt McCoy got hurt and Mark Sanchez sucked because he's Mark Sanchez. I would see Josh Johnson being a viable backup, at least till Brock Purdy's back. Now, Brock Purdy may be back towards the end of the season next year.
Yep.
Tommy John for pitchers is probably a little different than it is for quarterbacks, I think. I saw this too. Our boy Green said that in the NFL news, he said he'll be back by training camp. He'll be back to like doing rehab drills. But he's not going to be playing. Tommy John, he could be back in 10 months.
Trust us. We as Washington National fans know all about the Tommy John here.
Seen a couple of times.
Multiple players with the Tommy John.
But he'll be back. He'll be back around Thanksgiving. And if you want to run with that and then bring him back Thanksgiving as the backup, and you can go with that. Or if things are just falling apart by Thanksgiving, then you put Brock Purdy back in. Why not?
Right. Dev said, "Please no Carr. My money's on Taylor to Tampa. Taylor to Tampa. That's interesting." Marcus said Ben Roethlisberger had Tommy John. That was a long time ago, though, wasn't it? Long time.
It was a while ago.
Yeah. Well, we got the Super Bowl coming up here in week and a half. Your chance to win some money. Check it out. What's up, Commanders fam? The stage is set and we're counting down the Battle of Arizona. There's no better way to get ready for the NFL action with none other than the DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 57. New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly. Plus, all new and existing customers can take a shot at an even bigger payout with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. Boost your Super Bowl 57 winnings with each leg you add up to 100%. You know me personally, I like the Eagles to cover minus 1.5, might buy a point down, and I like the under at 50.5. Either way, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code TPPN. New customers can bet $5 on Super Bowl 57 and get $200 in free bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code TPPN. That's Tango Papa November. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void in Ohio. See show notes for details. And we're back. Hey, next thing we want to talk about is, I don't know if you guys saw it, but Arian Foster came out on the Barstool Sports podcast. I think it was Pardon My Take with PFT commentary, a huge Washington fan, and said the NFL is scripted. The NFL is scripted. Can y'all believe that? First off, do you believe that? And second, is it possible? Because he came out and said he treated it like the WWE. He said that's what practice was about. It was about practicing the script. It's like the WWF. We know what's going to happen, but you still got to put on a show, Foster said. He said it's fully scripted. And then what came afterwards was the professional NFL players that came by afterwards and immediately kind of validated and made fun of what he said. The fact that, dude, are you for real? Do you really think this is scripted? And so I just want to share some of these tweets because it's actually really funny. Like RG3 reading the script for what's happening in 2012. Boom, he got it. ACL broken. Michael Parsons. I might show the script from the playoffs where the Cowboys lost, and let's keep rolling through these. Alvin Kamara. When they handed me the script for our season during camp, I almost walked out of the facility, bro. Marlon Humphrey. Me giving up 200 yards to Chase was just me following the script. Rodney McLeod. Tell him to pay me next year because I executed the script perfectly. I'm guessing he had a super long play there. I mean, I don't think the NFL's.
Where's the one about Alex Smith?
I don't know if the Alex Smith one is in this, but there's another one that shows Alex Smith saying Alex Smith reading the script for 2018. It's bad. It's bad. Very, very bad. Some of these are really funny. You just got to go look at yourself. But anyways, I just thought it was cool to bring that up because it was funny. It was like really, really, really funny. So I don't know. Do you guys think the NFL is scripted? And first and foremost, let's say thank you to Dev for our very, very, very first super chat. Yeah. Thank you, Dev. We appreciate that. In-house love. Yeah, do y'all think the NFL is scripted? Some people say it is. A lot of people contributed to the refs. There's a fake tweet going along. One of the referees who was in the AFC Championship. If you guys seen him, he refed a couple of our games. There's a fake tweet going around saying that his son, he didn't know his son had a large wager on the Chiefs till after the game. That's completely fake, by the way, but super funny. Super, super, super funny. Dev said, make it rain on you. Make it rain on you. Yes, you certainly did make it rain on us, man. Thank you. Thank you very much. Marcus says, no, the NFL is not like the WWE. Okay, we got one. Chris McDaniel says, all the players at the Pro Bowl are making fun of that too. That's good. Maybe Arian's suffering for some CTE. Dev said Cowboys are the most famous NFL team in the NFL. If they're on TV the most and had 3 playoff wins in 25 years, if the league was scripted, that wouldn't happen.
They're also the most hated team. So there is that. But didn't Arian Foster claim that the moon landing never happened?
He could have. Kyrie Irving is a flat earther.
I've heard Arian Foster connected to conspiracy theories, all the fun ones too. The moon landing never happened. Is he with B.O.B.? Does he believe the earth is flat?
I know Kyrie does too. I don't know. I don't know if he's one of those guys.
Yeah,
but it makes for a good conversation, I guess.
Kyrie, you don't ever want to put yourself in the same boat as Kyrie.
No.
That man is something. But nonetheless,
yeah.
It's just funny because when I saw it was Arian Foster that said that, I was like, this is not surprising. He loves conspiracy theories and he will say things like that. And of course, some people give it credence because they're like, well, he plays. He should know.
Maybe he's got a book coming out. Maybe you say these things for like, oh, yeah, remember Arian Foster? Oh, wait, he's got a book coming out. Let's maybe check that out. I don't know. Maybe sometimes people say these things for attention and I don't know. Let's move on to the GOAT. The GOAT is retiring. Finally. Yeah. So last year he had a huge, ceremony. He had a huge big deal. And so I thought we'd share this again real quick if you'd like to see it. Because he is retiring again. But he's like, we only get one chance to do this. So let's just real quick.
Good morning, guys. I'll get to the point right away. I'm retiring for good. I know the process was a pretty big deal last time. So when I woke up this morning, I figured I'd just press record and let you guys know first. So I won't be long-winded. You only get one super emotional retirement essay, and I used mine up last year. So really thank you guys so much to every single one of you for supporting me, my family, my friends, my teammates, my competitors. I could go on forever. There's too many. Thank you guys for allowing me to live my absolute dream. I wouldn't change a thing. Love you all.
And that's it. That's it. Short, sweet, to the point. The GOAT's retiring. Do you guys think he's actually retiring?
Ricky Phil? Gervais would be proud. If you know what I mean by that, you'll know. Get up there, say your little, thank your little people, thank your little God, and get the fuck off the stage. I like that. Okay, it's taken me a long time to accept Tom Brady as being, one of the all-time NFL greats, but I've accepted that. Still think Joe Montana is greater, but anyway, at that same time, he took a much better approach, a much more likable approach this year. And he just said, you know what? I'm out. Thank you to the people who need to be thanked. I lived my dream. And he left. Exit stage right. I like that.
Yeah.
I hate retirement tours. I hate all that kind of stuff. No. I mean, I don't like this idea of we do this grand tour and everywhere you go, every city you go to in your last season, we have a ceremony for you. Like, they did that for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the 80s. I have no time for that.
Yeah.
When you retire, you retire. You're done.
Said, I saw those Giselle comments to him. I'd have left that beyond read.
Wasn't he with Paige Spiranak now?
He said he retired for more money and Paige Spiranak, white privilege. JK. I guess he is. Dude, I mean, he has a child with Bridget Moynihan and then 2 with Giselle. So it's time. He's 45?
And now he's traded for Paige Spiranak. Now, my boy John, who you got to meet him the other night, Paige Spiranak is his dream woman. That is his absolute dream woman. Man, and being him up as a Giants fan, it's going to eat him up to see Tom Brady with her.
I have no idea who she is, and I'm probably embarrassed for that. But
go look it up and put up a good picture of her up here. She is a golfer.
Oh,
but she is also a model.
Model golfer. Model and golfer.
Let's show the people.
Yo, Paige Spiranak. Okay, let's look at.
Dev says down here, she is every straight man in America's dream woman.
Yeah. All right, Tom.
Waving on it left and right in these pictures.
Tom doing well for himself. Yes, I can see that. All right, Tom Brady.
I'll give you the TB12.
Marcus said 7 rings, boatload of money, and now about to date any woman he wants. He's having the best life. I wonder where he's going to retire to. And people were thinking, because, he originally had a deal with, I want to say he had a deal penciled in with Fox before he came back to football. And then they signed Greg Olsen because they had to fill it with someone. So now at Fox Sports, people are wondering, does that affect Greg Olsen? Does that affect someone else? Would they offer Tom a contract?
Not coming back this season.
For commentating?
Yeah, it's going to be 2024.
Yeah.
I think that's so they can kind of figure out what they're going to do with Greg.
Oh, he's good. I don't mind him as an analyst on TV. He's not bad at all.
Yeah, he's not bad. I mean, look, Tom's going to be. It took Tom a long time to figure out how to really throw some personality out there and not just be, looking like a wooden Ken doll.
Right. But, still looks like he's 23 years old. That facelifts and
he used to be Mr. Oh, I smiled. I'm just so happy to be here and look at my butt chin. But now, I mean, he's got more personality. In his later years, you'd see him get fired up on the field. And wherever he goes, whenever he goes into the booth, he will do fine. I think he is verbose, but he'll be a lot of people like Tony Romo. I think he'll be actually more tolerable than Tony Romo. Tony Romo rides his own jock a few times.
Certainly does.
So I think it'll be fine, but it won't be this season though. And that's cool. Take a year off from doing anything. Go to Thailand.
Yeah, seems to be the thing. Marcus said they made Tom Brady and Sean Payton place in the studio. Well, Tom Brady and Sean Payton were linked in that Dolphins scandal, which got swept under the rug real quick, where they were going to make bring Sean Payton in to coach. They were going to buy his rights from the Buccaneers, bring Tom Brady to Miami, make him part ownership, have him play 1 year, then retire and become an owner in the Dolphins. Unheard of. And I got to go back, but they got fine draft picks for that. I'm surprised it didn't get more burn. I think the NFL buried it, if you want to be a conspiracy theorist.
Well, because a lot of that was talk more than anything else.
It was, it was illegal tampering, I guess.
Whatever you want to call it.
But the Broncos made a trade for Sean Payton this offseason, this week, believe it or not. The Broncos agreed in principle to trade to the Saints for the coaching rights of Sean Payton. This year's first-round pick, which is number 29 overall, and next year's second-round pick in exchange for the Saints' third-round selection. And they got Sean Payton. To me, that's not a bad deal. So you gave up this year's first, next year's second, and you get the Saints' third next year as well. So 2 picks, it's not bad. Now, when you calculate everything they gave up recently, when they gave for Russell Wilson, they traded their first-round pick to Seahawks last year, but then acquired a first-round pick from the Dolphins that sent Bradley Chubb to Miami. So there's a lot of shuffling around, but at the end of the day, the Broncos have given up a lot of draft capital between Russell Wilson and Sean Payton, but now they have a quarterback-friendly coach and a quarterback. I don't know.
Broncos said, fuck them picks.
They did. They said
they are taking the Los Angeles Rams approach to this.
They did.
We'll see if it works out for them.
Kill picks.
Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how.
And I know Dev's not here, but Dev is a huge Russell Wilson fan, so I know Dev is excited to see Sean Payton and Russell Wilson teamed up.
I think Dev went and got himself an orange Russell Wilson
jersey. Oh yeah, Dev is a huge Russell Wilson fan. For those that are watching,
he said Russell. He said what he said that Kirk Cousins couldn't lick the mud off of one of Russell Wilson's cleats.
Yeah, Dev is a huge Russell Wilson fan. All of the success, the Legion of Boom is only successful because of Russell Wilson, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf.
Marshawn Lynch would have been running for 300 yards a year if it weren't for Russell Wilson.
Yeah, so that's an inside joke. Dev hates Russell Wilson.
DK Metcalf would have 45% body fat if it weren't for Russell Wilson.
Dev says Russell Wilson is very mediocre. He's not that dude. I think he calls him this. He's the same quarterback as Kirk Cousins. And I guess after this year, maybe he's on to something. But before last year, we would argue till the sun came up about why.
He was starting to win me over on that one. He was starting to win me over on that argument.
Dude said, I believe Olsen will be dropped. And that's what they're saying. Olsen might get the boot if Brady comes back. I don't know. I don't mind Olsen. He'll get picked up somewhere else, or do some pregame, postgame. Eventually, there's just not enough slots to these players get out and retire and want to be analysts, but there's only so many games, so many networks, so many channels to be on. I don't know. Marcus said the Broncos gave a lot of players and picks for Payton, and Wilson is going to be uphill battle to contend in the AFC West. I would argue that's the hardest division in football. People say the NFC East. No, we are not the best division in football.
Oh, here's the thing, though. I don't think the Broncos are still the third best team in the NFC or in the AFC West.
Yeah, fourth. I think the Chargers are better than them.
Well, no, you think the Raiders are better than them?
Oh yeah, no. So it goes Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Raiders. Yeah, you're right.
Even after all this, where are you? The same position you were before. Does Sean Payton make him maybe 2-3 wins better?
Maybe if he can get the most out of Russell Wilson, if Russell Wilson performed like he did the Russell Wilson we know, the 2012 through 2017, Russell Wilson 2018, the consistent, the 4,200 yard, 28 touchdown, Russell Wilson, we'll see. Dude said they may go to 3 like NBA. They could three guys in the booth. I mean, don't they do 2? No, we do. The
only time I've ever liked a 3-man booth was on TV. Was Monday Night Football in the late 80s, up through when they got rid of Dan Deerdorf and Frank Gifford.
Yeah.
Before that, the that 3-man booth was great. The one before it was great with when you had Don Meredith and Howard Cosell. The Redskins 3-man booth was great when you had. Well, actually, I'll tell you what. Our 3-man booths have been pretty good. Sonny, Sam, and Frank, and then you had Sonny, Sam, and Larry, which was pretty good. But then Sam and Sonny got old. But then you replaced them with Doc and Cooley and Larry, and that was pretty good.
That was a good combo. All things aside, with Larry Michael, from a football voice perspective, that was a good combo.
He was a professional announcer.
Yeah.
He did a lot of basketball before he came to this thing. In fact, y'all want to see something funny? For those who used to watch the Howard Stern show and listen to the Howard Stern show, Artie Lang had a one-on-one basketball game against this chick who was a starter for Penn State. I think she was like a sixth man on a WNBA team. And no. I'm sorry. She wasn't even sixth man. She was a bench player for a WNBA team. Larry Michael called the play-by-play of it.
Oh, nice.
It's hilarious.
Nice.
Before Larry Michael came to call games for Washington, he was an NCAA announcer. And it's funny because he's in on the ribs. Like, he knows all the jokes. And by the way, Artie Lang almost beat her.
Oh, he could play some ball.
He's if you watch the game, you're like, Jesus, this guy's got an outside jumper like nobody's business. And he's literally like raining threes on this chick. And he just wore out. He was out of shape. And at one point in the game, he literally grabbed a whiskey and drank some.
Probably went to the bathroom and took a snot rocket there.
Dev said, no shards of glass in it.
Man, RJ Barrett just Euro dropped Jimmy Butler. Nobody cares about RJ Barrett and the Knicks, man. Let's talk about Danny Avdia dropping 25 the other day. Let's talk about
RJ
that.
Barrett's going to, according to Dev, he wants us to trade Beal for RJ Barrett.
Oh, man. I don't know, man. We've come to the conclusion of this. Talked about a lot of things. News is steadily flowing. Maybe by next week we'll have some offensive coordinator news. Who knows? But the Super Bowl is upon us. Next week, you got to join us on Thursday. We are going to do a special edition awards show, what we're going to call the Moxies. So we're going to come up with a bunch of different categories, and we're going to give away the Moxie. We have a bunch of different categories. They're going to be funny. It's off the wall. It's a little unorthodox. It's not your standard award. So tune in next week. I think it's going to be a shit show, and it's going to be funny. So we're giving away the Moxies next week, our version of our own special award show. So stay tuned. Phil, you got any shout outs?
Shout out. Oh, actually, rest in peace to the man, the myth, the legend, Lanny Poffo. Some of you know him as Leaping Lanny.
Leaping
Poffo.
Lanny, yeah.
Some of you know him as the Genius. Those of you who really know he's the brother of the Macho Man Randy Savage. He died today, age 68.
Rest in peace.
So rest in peace, Lanny Poffo. Literally, if you ever remember, he used to do poems before his matches and stuff. He wrote all of them.
Yeah,
and like he's very. If you ever listen to him interview, he does like the way he spoke with he's a really dignified, deep, and just loquacious voice where he talked like this all the time. That's how he spoke, people. And his brother was, oh yeah, dig it, oh yeah. So, and their father was a wrestler and a wrestling promoter. Their father actually used to hold the Guinness Book of World Records for most consecutive sit-ups, too.
Oh.
So I'm talking about a family of athletes and scholars and everything else. But yeah, Lanny Poffo died at 68. Shout out to everybody who showed up in the chat today. Shout out to Dev, dealing with the pain, having some teeth cut out, dealing with the pain of being a Knicks fan. Shout out to Dev.
Shout out to Dev. Deuce says, "Ayo, perfect ending beat." Deuce, that's Dev's beats. Dev makes all the beats, all the music for the show. We are blessed to have him on our side. Chris says it's crazy weird without Dev interrupting Steve when he's trying to read the comments. That's what makes us click, man. I try to get it in when I can, but you know, hey, when you got like the Wu-Tang as your cast, it's hard to, you know, I think we do a pretty good job of timing things, but it's hard sometimes. It's hard. Oh, Dev said, Deuce said you do his now too. So there you go. Marcus said, me and my friends met Lanny Poffo at a wrestling event. He was the nicest guy in the world. Rest in peace. Well, shout out to everyone who did join the chat today. Deuce, Dev, hope you heal up soon. Chris McDaniel, Terrence Mean Green. We'll talk about your Eagles next Thursday a little bit, man. Yam couldn't make it, but he did check in. Marcus Edelin, thank you so much. Greg Delaney chopped in on Facebook. Appreciate you guys, man. It's a good show. Like I said, tune in next Thursday for the award show. The Moxies. Ryan Elias popped in on the YouTube. But yeah, we appreciate you guys. Look forward to doing this award show next week. I'm really looking forward to it. We haven't finalized all the categories yet, but it's gonna be fun. So that being said, stay tuned. As always, peace and hail. We out ya.